Motivation is a feeling that comes and goes, and it doesn't matter whether it's there or not. Discipline is infinitely more important. No matter how you feel, get up and do what you're supposed to do. That's it. And that's discipline. It's not motivation.
If you're not confident in your preparation,
Right.
you're not going to run good. I know I'm going to run good because I knew I worked my butt off every day getting on the track.
Right. What is up, YouTube? Back again with another podcast video, Life of Sprints podcast video. Today's guest is very special. One of my brothers in Christ, a friend of mine, and he needs no introduction, so no further ado. Edwin.
What is up, brother?
What is up? What is up? What is up?
How
What
you
is up?
doing?
What is up?
How you
Pretty
doing?
good, pretty good, pretty good.
What's up, guys?
But tell the people a little bit about yourself and get to know who you are.
So what's up, guys? My name is Eddievwyk. Just go by Eddie. Everyone knows me as Eddie. I'm currently 22 years old, originally from South Africa. I'm a transfer that came in from Lindsay Wilson, currently at the Cumberlands. So, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Studying here. I'm a junior in college. I'm studying business administration and with a secondary minor in exercise and sports science.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. So, so far, how do you like the Cumberlands and everybody at the Cumberlands, you know?
Dude, it's been such a big blessing for me. It's been different. It's been a lot of change, but only good. Everywhere in my life, as I go forward in my life, I try to strive for just being better in every aspect, whether that is in sports or academics or even coming to a better school. And that is what I accomplish and what the Lord blessed me with. So it's been great coming here. The atmosphere has been crazy. The team has been crazy. The coaches take so good care of me. Dude, just absolutely overall great.
Great. And I know we talked about that in the last podcast, like the coaching aspect of things and how a lot of people have been asking me, like, how is the Cumberlands and how is the track team? And we talked about how the coaches really take the time of, like, each athlete. If you have any questions, they know what they're talking about. You know, so that's a really good thing. So, like, since you said you came from South Africa, how is it growing up in South Africa, and how has, like, I guess, track-wise and just life in general? And
Wow. So growing up in South Africa, obviously a lot different than here. It's a third world country. So stuff works a bit different, Services that you guys take for granted, such as, posting services or electricity or healthcare, not necessarily up to standard back home. So a lot of challenges growing up in South Africa, but stuff that I'm grateful for because those things shape you in the long term.
Right.
It builds up a bit of character, and it teaches you to, rely on yourself a bit more, to build. To learn to find your own way to what you want in life. But in general, I think South Africa is a great place. Still, my family lives in South Africa. My sister, my mother stays in South Africa, so I'll always love the country. I'll always go back to the country. I'll always go on a holiday in the country. I think it's beautiful. I always tell people, when God created the earth, He created all the other continents. And then He perfected Africa, the last one, which is the most beautiful.
And I know I've seen a lot of pictures about, like, South Africa and everything. And if you guys didn't know, obviously he's on the track team and very disciplined guy. And you know what I mean, like very disciplined in how he goes about certain situations. So, like, just tell us about more on the track side, your training regimen in South Africa and how that really helped you in the States, and what was the difference, training specifics and the knowledge that you know now.
Okay, so I started sprinting around the age of around 11, 12 years old, where I wasn't always as knowledgeable on it, because obviously anyone that just starts off in anything, they're a beginner at some stage in their life. So as I started getting better in sprinting and starting developing a love for the sport of track and running, my knowledge automatically started to increase, right? So I started off with a 400-meter Olympian coach. She was a 2-time Olympian that I ended up coaching, ran under her for a long time. We would train about probably 4 to 5 days a week.
Wow. That's good.
Coming up as a primary school kid, you're not in the weight room as much, so you're only on the track. So a lot of times we relied on your own body weight strength. So instead of weight room stuff, we would do a lot of body weight exercises like push-ups and lunges and sit-ups and all that type of stuff. Since you're a young athlete, you try to develop that naturally. And then as I progressed into high school, this coach that I'm talking about, she ended up going to India. She got a contract in India to become their national sprinting coach.
Wow.
Which was big for her. And she passed me on to another fellow coach that she entrusted. And this coach ended up becoming one of my biggest idols in my life. He became like a father figure in my life, someone that speaks into my life, and someone that really educated me more deeper about the sport. He's the guy that took me into the weight room. He's the guy that taught me, the deeper ways of training and all that type of stuff. So depending on where we were in the season, coming up through high school, we would do about 6 to 7 to 8 sessions a week. So that would be including on the track and in the weight room. And then recovery weeks worked in between, because when you're in high school, you still have to make sure you give attention to schoolwork. That's important.
The balance of a student athlete.
The balance of a student athlete. So, and here in the States, you guys do that too. Like the high schools run against each other too. I know in Europe, the high schools don't have track teams.
They should. I didn't know that.
That's extracurricular activity that they should go sign up at a club and go run at a club. And these clubs run at against each other in their off time. In South Africa, high school sport is massive. So whether it is track, whether it is rugby, whether it is cricket, whether it is netball, all that type of stuff, it's big. So the school meets and stuff would be worked into that, and we'll work around that. And then eventually I ended up, finishing high school. And then after that, I was basically a full-time athlete training with him, where we would do anything up to 9 sessions a day. So spending a lot of time with this coach really increased my knowledge on it, and it really matured my way of handling myself into being a more elite professional athlete. So yeah, does that answer?
Yeah, it does. Okay, and it's like a lot of guys say you have to be a student of the game, right? You have to do what you love and really understand and really study it. Like I want to go to, let's say your goal is to go to nationals, your goal is to, go to states. You really have to take the time and understand your body, understand what is the coach is saying, taking notes, that type of thing. So what is one of the biggest things that was different, coming to the States and the other coaches that you met? Or I already know this, or was it more knowledge? Okay, I didn't know this. Maybe I should take this down. Because every coach is different.
Sure. Yeah. I think one of the biggest things for me was that, so back home, I received a lot of private coaching. So it was a lot more individual. The groups were smaller, and the time that we spent together was more intentional. So the coach was available more of the times to coach you on the smaller things, if there were smaller details that you have to focus on. Here, as soon as I got into the States, there's big track teams. Our group is probably about 30 plus people.
30, a lot. It's a lot.
We're training every day.
Yeah.
So, for coach to be able to split himself in 30 pieces is impossible. So I really had to rely on, communication is very, very important when it comes to that, because being able to communicate with a coach that has to have 29 other people is important. Other than that, I had to be able to adjust to take responsibility for myself, because now I cannot rely on other people, because coach has so much to worry about already. I have to worry about what I can control, and that is where I started focusing on doubling down on the smaller habits. That is where the sleeping habits come in. That is where the eating habits come in. That is where the supplementation comes in. That is where the mobility comes in. That is where, your circle of influence comes in. That is where you spend your extra time, all that type of stuff. It's the small things that end up, making the bigger difference at the end of the day for me.
And it's crazy because, when we met and I was, asking questions okay, what do you do? You know what I mean? And it's I never really took the time to figure myself out, the right angles to work on my mobility, work on my sleep, work on the eating habits, stuff like that is like, okay, yeah, sure, right? But let's go to the weight room. Let's put certain like weights up. Let's run fast. Let's But it's like that little things that take you to that next level.
Yeah.
And it's like that's huge. So like I know, of course, you're a man of God and you take your faith very seriously.
Yeah,
so
that's important.
How is God has shined a light on your life in terms of track and you as a person?
Wow, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So first off, I think for me, already being in the States is already such a big testimony and revelation to me that God is entrusting me with my talent to be able to put me in different places to have different influence. Because if it wasn't for my track and for my talent and ability to run, I would not have been here.
Right.
So first off, glory to God for that.
Yeah.
And then upon that, the amount that I have grown here and the amount that he has trusted me with has been crazy, and it has been increasing immensely since I got here.
Yeah.
Which just shows that, because like we can take this back to the Bible,
right.
And when the people get handed their talents and the master says to them, go work your talents. So the one he gives 1, the other one he gives 3, the other one he gives 5. The one that gets 1 buries his talent because he's too scared to lose it. The guy that has 3, he goes works for it and he doubles it. The guy that has 5 works for it and he doubles his 5. They end up coming back to their master, and their master says, well done servant, you've doubled your talents, you have 10 now. The one that had 3, well done servant, you've doubled your talents, you have 6 now. The guy that had 1, that buried his talent, he told him, why didn't you work your talent? Because he said, I was scared to lose it. But end up the master taking that talent from him and giving it to the one that had 10.
Yeah.
So that also shows you that to whom much is given, much is required.
Yeah.
So I really had to learn how to step out in faith and really just trust God in everything he has placed on my plate for me to handle. Right. And I think one of the biggest ways I've just been able to do that is to be grateful for everything. Every time I'm at a track meet, or every time I get the opportunity to run and work my talent, express my talent, whether that is at practice or whether that is at a track meet,
right.
I just pause for a moment, I take a deep breath, and I actually just look around me. Because to be able to come from South Africa, third world country, and didn't necessarily have the greatest circumstances going on, to where I am now, where I literally don't lack anything,
Right.
to being placed in competitions or practice environments where everything for me is provided, and not only that, but provided in abundance, is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And just being at that place and taking a breath and being like, wow, look at what God has done.
God is good.
Gives me chills every time, and that makes me so grateful for everything, and being able to operate out of a place of gratefulness, that changes the game.
It's real, that's crazy. Like God plays a huge part, in our lives, of course yours. But me speaking, it's always I never really took the time and said I was like grateful, and I take a test of that, because it's like, oh, I want more. Like, why am I not running these fast times? Why am I not, But it's like taking the time and be like, man, I'm blessed to even be here, And it was one meet. I think it was my freshman year. It was a Louisville meet, and I had the 60, and I didn't do so good. I think I false started.
Okay.
And I seen you because my G went to another school, right? Then I don't know if you remember this, but you had tapped me and was like, you got him next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. And I was like, yeah, but I was so mad.
How long ago was it? 2 years?
Like 2 years ago. Yeah, I remember that.
So we both were freshmen.
Yeah, we're both freshmen. Then we'll talk about that later on. But I went back upstairs and I'm praying to God, like, God, why are you doing this? Like I don't know what's going on. And something told me to look up, right? And it was my teammate, and he shook my hand. He was like, oh, it's gonna be okay. And how he said it was just like, what's going on? Like, you know what I mean? Like how he shook my hand and looked me in my eyes, was like, you're fine. Yeah. It was like God was using him to speak through me, right?
Yeah.
Then I was like, yeah. Then I got up, right? And I looked at the track, right? Because people were still running. And I seen this one girl. She had one leg, and she was running, and I was just like, bro. And she looked so happy, right?
Yeah.
And it's like me have 2 legs, right?
Yeah.
And it was just like mind blowing. Like, wow, like people are actually like genuinely happy about what their circumstance, because and it just made me think, like, man, like I have to be grateful for what I have. Even without, like, the circumstance doesn't go as planned, you know, I still have to trust God's plan and still keep going. So I think that's real. Like, God is really big, played a big part in, like, my life as well as track too, and that's why I try to, like, tell other people, give other people advice on, you know, certain things, or they talk to me about God, and I try to give them what I have, my testimony and stuff like that. So, like, even like there's people come to you and like, okay, how does God have played it? Like, of course, like same question I asked, but what advice do you give like the athletes that are watching and like that's trying to seek something, like seek God or get to know about God, and like, you know?
I think one thing you have to remember is that you can have a personal relationship with God. Most people think, you know, that you have to go to church, which you do.
Yeah.
It's important to be plugged into a community. You have to read your Bible, but he's not this scary figure that's gonna doom you if you do the wrong thing, or I don't know, like people.
Sorry for the noise. Sorry for the noise, guys. Yeah.
He's not the scary figure that's gonna doom you for doing the wrong thing.
Right.
Or he's not too big to talk to.
Right.
Our God is a personal God. He is just. He's gracious. He's merciful.
Yeah.
And he's a gentleman. And he wants to come down and have a personal relationship with you. But he's not going to force it on you.
Right.
And the thing is about that relationship is that you have to go seek him.
Right.
There's a verse in the Bible says, draw near to me and I will draw near to you. But notice the verse doesn't say, I will draw near to you, and then you will draw near to me.
Right.
It's you first.
You first. So you have
draw
to
near to me,
yeah.
Then I will draw near to you.
Right.
So it talks about our action first. And I think we should always remember that we are the person that determines our own distance between us and God.
Right.
So yeah, you can have a personal relationship with God. It is possible.
Yeah.
It is gonna take discipline.
Yeah.
Yes.
Discipline and consistency.
And being plugged into the right community. Yeah. It's gonna take sacrificing yourself and offering your life up as a living sacrifice. It's gonna take, you know, cutting out the wrong things that you might be doing over the weekends that you're too shy to talk about during the week. It's gonna take to sacrifice those things, but as you strive to get closer and closer to him, you'll realize how your relationship will build, and you actually start thirsting for more of who he is. And as you start thirsting for more of what he is, you'll start reading more of his word.
Right.
You'll start abiding in more of his community. You'll start speaking more life than speaking death. I think that's very, very important.
So, like, guys, what he said, keep God in your life and try to seek him. But like, going back to track and everything, you moved to South Africa to the States, right? Then you were at a school, then you transferred to our school, the Cumberlands.
Yes.
So how was that process of like transferring? Like, what didn't you like, or what like didn't you? How do I put this? What led you to transfer? Or
what led me to transfer? What led me to transfer is always me striving, like I mentioned earlier, to be better.
Right.
Whether it is spiritually, physically, on the track, academically, or just be in a better community.
Right.
That's what led me to transfer. I always knew coming to the States that no matter where I was placed, I was going to move around.
Okay.
Whether it was going to be in a year's time, 2 years' time, 3 years' time, whatever. My first year, I actually got in the transfer portal.
Okay.
And I wanted to transfer, but it didn't end up working out.
Okay.
So that means God didn't open the door.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's something I prayed about, and I asked God, listen, God, if this is something that you want me to pursue, make it happen for me. If it's not something you want me to pursue, don't make it happen for me.
Right.
I had an offer on the table. I was speaking to a certain school, and the offer didn't pull through. And that was God closing the door for me. So luckily I had the opportunity to go back to my old school. Went back there, went another year, and I knew, okay, the opportunity to transfer might come up again.
Right.
And I started speaking to, certain individuals here from the Cumberlands. And, same thing. Praying about it, giving it up to the Lord.
Right.
Getting into contact with the head coach here. And it was literally a process of 10 days.
Yeah.
Contracts were signed, things were handled, and it was done.
And you guys see how he said God was in the center of it, right?
Yeah.
He always kept God like praying. That's like the key. This is no magic trick. This is no, if I just keep, what is it, a wish or anything. It's all about God and what God has planned for you in your life. Your journey may be different from other people's journey.
Yeah.
But always keep God first. Always keep Him at the center of everything. So, like, of course, we haven't got to the acclimates yet, but like, of course, you went to nationals and stuff like that. And, and like, tell people like your times and everything and how like that came to be, like growing up from middle high school or primary school to now, and like what do you run and what events and stuff like that. So the fun stuff, guys.
It's the fun stuff. So I wouldn't consider myself fast yet or fast enough. I would say I'm pretty. I'm at a competitive level where athletes can come out and compete with me. But as I'm always striving to be better, I'm not in the league where I want to be yet. And I don't think any of us would ever be at a place where we would be like, okay, I'm satisfied with myself.
Right.
Personally, for me, my opinion, I think we should always strive to grow in every aspect.
Right.
So I would always want to go faster. Right now, legally, I got a PR of a 10.7 on 100. Which was ran 2 years ago at Lee University. It was a last chance meet. It was the last meet of the season, and I ran a PR, so which I took. Last year, I ran a wind assisted 10.54, 10.56, I think, at Louisville University, which was like a plus 2.3 wind, I think. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not
which
bad
was
at all.
with some of the big dogs around in the SEC or in the ACC conference. So that was very good. It's always good to come out and run with some big dogs.
Right.
I like to step out in confidence with the big dogs because I know that's where I perform the best. When I get put under pressure. So that's for the 100. My 100, I wouldn't consider my strong point. On the 200, I have a 21.45, which is what I qualified for last year in the 200. Personally, satisfied with it last year, yes, but not done. It's a goal this year to go sub 21. So if we can go sub 21 this year and potentially break the school record here, that would be crazy. Anything sub 21, I would be very, very happy. And sub 21, then you start getting competitive at nationals. So if you go sub 21, you'll make All-American. Then 4x1 relay, fastest we went last year was 41. I don't know, 41 something. I just know we were at nationals. We ranked. I can't remember where, but not satisfied with it. I always like to compete in races where I have individual control over it. But also being part of a great relay team puts you in a place where you can win some medals. Where I'm very, very excited to see what can happen here because we have some very, very good competitors here.
Yeah, we do.
And we can really step out at nationals. So that's going to be very exciting. On the 400, I've never ran an open 400.
Oh, wow.
First time I've ran an open 400 was way back home, which was in my senior year in high school. And I ran probably like a 56, which was terrible. I was dying, because I wasn't a 400 athlete. But I know definitely this year coach is going to put me on some open 400s, which I'm looking forward to, because I run the 4x4 relay, and I don't think I run that bad of a leg on the 4x4. So if we can get on an open 4x4, I'm excited to see what we can do. And that puts you on par of what you can run on a 200. So it's good practice both ways.
And I know, like you said, you went to nationals and stuff like that for the relay and stuff. So in the 200, you said. So like, how is being at nationals and seeing like the other competitors and stuff like that? Like people want to for high school students in states, like you go to states, you see like the what is it called? You see the top dogs, but you see like the the scenery, right?
Yeah.
You know, how is that
like
feel?
the
Like
media's there.
the media is there. Everything's
the
on you.
announcer calling you out on your name. The whole scene.
Right. So how is that? Like, you know, how was that experience? I would say.
So obviously it's a great experience, and for me, I flourish in that environment.
Okay.
Because it's always I envision myself in that space. So it's absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
If you're sensitive to pressure, it might be overwhelming to you because everyone at nationals, they kind of know what they're doing.
Right. Okay.
So you know that you have to show up at your best.
Yeah.
If you don't show up at your best, you're gonna fall under pressure.
Okay.
If you cannot compete under pressure, you better learn how to compete under pressure because it's gonna catch up to you.
So you go.
No, that's
so how would you say, like, if somebody wants to like don't let the pressure get to them? What would you say to them? Like,
I think
what is a good way to
So for me personally, this is how I deal with it. Okay. I don't overthink it. I keep my mind off of the race until I'm starting to warm up.
Okay.
Because every time you think about a race, even if it's the day before, a little bit of adrenaline gets released.
Yeah, I know. I remember.
So you struggle to sleep the night before. You struggle to eat because all of a sudden you're nervous. You know.
Yeah.
You can't go to sleep the night before. You're either up super early or you're up super late. You know. And if you don't manage that adrenaline levels, it gets completely out of hand. And by the time the race comes, you don't have no adrenaline left to provide you with energy. So adrenaline levels is important. I try to keep my mind off the race completely. So I listen to a lot of music. I listen to a lot of gospel music on the way to the meet the night before.
Positive things.
Positive things. It's important.
Yeah.
I listen to the warm-up music I listen to is like Afro beats. I'm a piano type of music, so a bit of African vibes.
Yeah, okay.
I don't really listen to like secular type of music anymore. Which is something that really gets me in the vibe and gets me going because it's a lot of positive vibe music. I make sure I surround myself with the right people.
Right.
And if I'm in an environment that I know is draining my energy, I'm making sure to remove myself from that environment.
That's a big part. Like the environment part and who you hang around with. If they're not buying in or they're not motivating you or they're not, talking to you about your goals or if they're just bringing you down, you have to remove yourself. You know, that plays a really big part on your training. It plays a really big part on competition because it's like all these thoughts can get into your head and stuff like that. So one of the other questions I have is like for the viewer that hasn't broke 11 yet or hasn't broke 22 yet, like what's the biggest thing would you say to them? Like, it's like, man, it's been years, man, but like, what would you say, like, some advice, And we talked about the little things also, so how can you add more to that?
Definitely the little things.
Right.
So we spoke about diet, we spoke about your sleeping patterns, we spoke about recovery, mobility, that type of stuff. That is important. The viewers and the guys out there that hasn't broke 11 yet, that hasn't broke 22 yet, I would say let's sit down with the coach and let's have a good conversation about why we haven't done that yet and try to identify the things that are needed to do that.
Right. Okay. I never heard about it. That's a good one. Yeah.
2, go out there and practice those things and execute on them. And then I think 3 is you got to trust the workout and trust the process because same thing coming back to, the handling the pressure situation or being anxious before races is if you're not confident in your preparation, you're not going to run good. I know I'm going to run good because I knew I worked my butt off every day getting on the track. I'm tracking the time I go to sleep. I'm tracking the way I eat. I know when I step foot on the track every time it's quality. It's good workouts. I know I'm tracking my weight room numbers. I know what they are. They're improving. And having a look at the proof in the pudding, it can only lead me to good results. So there's no use in showing up for a meet expecting to do good or to run your sub 11 if you don't trust in what you just did.
Yeah, it's real.
Real life. So make sure you trust what you did to be able to get to a meet and execute that well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, cool. That makes a lot of sense. Like the little things, man, like tracking and if you're gonna BS in the workout, right? If you're like BS every day, right? And you expect to go out there and run a good time. It's not going to happen. No matter what you do, like how bad you pray, it's not gonna work. You know what I mean? And that goes with discipline, right? And consistency, right? So like I know you have a lot of discipline, a lot of consistency. So how do you tell the viewers on how to develop those things, discipline and consistency? So I know we talked about that on the channel, the prior videos and stuff like that. So
how to develop discipline and consistency.
Right.
So let's start with consistency first. Consistency is, if we just put out a basic definition for consistency, it would be doing the same thing day in and day out. But in this case, we don't want to do the same thing day in, day out. We want to do the right thing day in and day out. Okay? Simply for me, how I make sure I do that is I keep it as simple as possible. I keep track on it on my phone. I have a time schedule that I stick to. My eating times are in my time schedule. My sleeping times are my time schedule. My wake up time is in my training, my time schedule. So that is how I make sure my consistency is on. And then simply mindset. I know that if I train at 3:15, I know a meal takes about 2 hours to digest. So I go to the cafeteria at least 2 hours and a half before to eat my meal to make sure that is processed and metabolized to be able to run fast and perform good at training. The more I do that, the more I build up consistency in it, the more I build up trust in that. So that is consistency. The first one we talked about was discipline. Discipline, I think, comes from your why. Really, how bad do you want?
How bad you want to be great?
How bad you want to be great, you know? And if you simply do not have the discipline, it shows just that you don't want it that bad. Some guys, you might be watching this and you think like, hey, I haven't broken 11 yet. Maybe you just don't want to break 11 that bad that you're willing to go to bed an hour earlier or eat a bit healthier 2 times a week, or do the extra recovery session or the extra weight room session. Maybe you just don't want that enough. So discipline-wise, I know what's my driving force and I know what I'm passionate about and what I like. Therefore, I double down on that. And because I love it, automatically, I have discipline for it. Automatically, I would go revisit that every day, have commitment to it. Automatically, I will strive to be better in that aspect of my life every day. Does it make sense?
Yeah. It's real life, man. It's definitely real life. Yeah, it's a lot of good points. Discipline, consistency, we talked about. The coaches we talked about. So let's talk about Coach Souter and Coach Marshall and how like the relationship with them has been and how you see yourself going forward with that coaching staff.
Wow.
Which is our coaches. Coach Marshall is our sprint coach and Souter's our head coach.
Shout out, Coach. So Coach Souter and Coach Marshall has been absolutely amazing. I think the communication has been great. The fact that, I like coaches where I can be myself. And not only be myself, but if I can be myself and I can be vulnerable with someone, I know that I can build a relationship with them. So I can literally sit down with them and be open. I call it humble, open, and transparent. If I can be, or honest, open, and transparent. If I can be open, honest, and transparent with them, we can find a ground to relate on stuff and build a relationship with their own forward. So they've really, really been great at just accepting me for who I am, knowing that I'm willing to work, and capitalizing on my strengths. So honestly, they've been great since the day I've got here. Coach Souter has a great vision for this program going forward and where we're going. So I really, really respect him. There's so much things that he has his hands on simultaneously. It's crazy to see how he operates because he is goal driven. He is committed. He is disciplined, and he is consistent. And I can say the same for Coach Marshall because he's been in that position where he's been a professional athlete.
He's a professional athlete.
So knowing that he has that, he's been a professional athlete, I know that he's been committed.
Right.
I know that he's been disciplined. I know he knows what it takes. And therefore, I'm willing to submit under him to be able to take his leadership and trust his process.
Right.
Because I know what he's saying. He's not only talking, but he also walked the walk.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's real life, man. And we're blessed to be in a position to be coached by such a great, coaching staff and such a great people, and a lot of people say like small schools like NAI or like why should I go there? But it's like it's great, I mean it's a great spot. I love it a lot.
It's a good community.
It is a good community. It's small, but it's a blessing to be here.
Oh yeah.
So like what would you tell the guys that want to go like probably D1 or does have the chance or they have to go to JUCO or NAIA? Like what do you tell them, especially NAIA, and like the differences?
The differences?
Or the similarities.
Similarities? I would say that, similarities is always that you should know that there's going to be an expectation of you wherever you go. Doesn't depend on what league you compete in, but if you really want to be good in this and you want to, maybe receive a scholarship for, your track going forward or any sport of this matter, there's going to be a certain expectation or a certain demand on you that you have to meet, Yeah. The reason I take stuff as serious as I do sometimes, and some people have accused me of taking it too serious, is because I know what my expectation is here, and I know what the consequences can be of me not taking it so serious. I know my talent is the thing that brought me to the US.
Right.
And if I do not meet certain expectations, if I do not show up, if I fail classes, if I am late for training, if I do not run certain times, I get the first ticket back home. That's my why. That is why I take stuff as serious as I do. So getting to, any type of school, whether it's D1, NCAA division, NAI, or JUCO, you should know that there's going to be a certain expectation on you depending on how far you want to go.
Right.
Other than that, there's going to be people you like and people you dislike.
Yeah.
Learn to deal with it. Because no one in life ever went through life just liking everyone.
Right, yeah.
Other than that, you're going to have to work hard. You're going to be able to... You're going to have to show up. You're going to be able to have to show out.
Yeah.
And you're going to be put into difficult spots sometimes that you're going to have to learn to deal with.
Yeah.
It's going to build your character. It's going to put you in tough places. But at the end of the day, it's going to make you a better person. It doesn't matter where you are.
Right.
And if you are in a lower league school, let's say you're in a JUCO, you're in an NAIA, wanting to go bigger one day,
right.
I would say take it day by day, take it step by step. Set those small goals, and as you celebrate the victories going forward, as you can see that realizing into the reality, see where you can take that chance. See where God would potentially provide the door for you to go.
Yeah.
If it's God's vision for you, He'll provide a way.
Yeah.
If He wouldn't, it's just your luck. He's keeping you in the same spot that He wants you.
Maybe it'd be to teach you a lesson. You would never know.
You never know, man.
It could be a lesson. So I think this is a pretty good podcast to wrap it all up. I know you have to go and everything like that. So any last remarks you have to tell the viewers or anything you would like to say?
Any last remarks? Wow. Let me think. There's always this one quote that pops in my head. It's very catchy. It says, keep progression and obsession.
I like that one.
Progression and obsession. Because if you can keep on obsessing about progressing, going forward in life and growing, you'll never outgrow, or you'll never, you'll always be better.
Right.
You'll always be better. And over the years of my life as growing up, and I'm not old yet.
Right.
I'm still in a very, very young stage of my life. But I taught myself from a very, very young age to obsess about progressing. Because the more I can progress, the more places, people, and opportunities I get to have in my life. And that'll put you up on the right places where you want to be.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Eddie, thank you guys for tuning into this video. As always, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and let me know if you want more podcast videos in the description below. And see you guys in the next video. Peace.